Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning, speaking with Mark Roberts. He is from Out of the Box Solutions. You, the CEO, head guy.
Yes, the president and founder
of Out of the Box Solutions, also an author of Branding Backwards. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
Very interested in, first of all, you go by your full name, Mark Allen Roberts. Why is that, Mark?
Well, as a branding person, I thought it'd probably be a good idea for me to Google my name. And much to my surprise, when I Googled the name Mark Roberts, I found two individuals. One makes collectible fairies, and the other one is the world's most famous streaker.
Neither one are you.
And neither one is me. So what I decided to do is, if I wanted to create a personal brand, I'd best use my middle name.
Very smart. And so branding is your thing, and you've wanted to help other people learn how to do branding, and you're a local guy helping people in our community with their brand. So let's get started. First of all, Out of the Box Solutions. You'll help people face-to-face?
Face-to-face, over the phone, through the internet. The farthest customer I've had is Australia. What I try to do is I try to fix whatever problem that particular business is having. And I've yet to meet a business that has enough sales. And people typically come to me with comments about sales. I need more sales. I need more profitable sales. I need more customers. It's a sales issue is how it's measured, but typically it's a marketing problem.
Yeah. Marketing has become something completely different than it was even 5-10 years ago. Now, digital marketing, everything. People are buying not just, you don't need just foot traffic into your store, but you've got to have an online presence. Do you help them with the whole kit and caboodle?
Yes. Online, it's referred to as the Internet of Things. And what's happened is, I'm going to show my age here, but 30 years ago when I started in sales, I was the keeper of the keys. I had all the information, so customers had to meet with you, and you presented them information. Today, as much as 70% of the buying process is done before a customer ever talks to you.
Is that right?
So if you don't have an online presence, you're losing sales that you could have won.
So the first thing is that website. You
have to have a website. And there's a perception that a website's going to cost me $30,000, $50,000. It could, depending upon what you're required of it. But what I've done is, predominantly the people I serve are small to mid-sized businesses. The largest one was $3.3 billion. But mostly it's small to mid-sized businesses, and I've built a network of service providers. So let's say, like I'm helping a guy right now up in Rootstown, and he needs a website. I have a person in my network that's going to give him a starter website for just under $2,000.
And I've heard now, even before a person may go to your website, they're going to check out your social media presence and kind of either friend you or not, like your page or not. Talk about that.
I've been in sales for a long time. And it used to be people would check out your company, and they would go to a chat room when internet just started, and they would check out, complimentary as well as trouble that people have had with companies. Now they're actually going to your LinkedIn profile, excuse me, and they're checking you out. So you have to be conscious of your social media presence. Mine is about fixing problems as sales and marketing. But you have to be very focused on that content.
Before we get to the book, Branding Backwards, let's talk about the fixing sales and problems. I think it's fascinating. We could Google fixing sales problems, and what pops up is you.
Yes.
How did that happen?
There's a great positioning guy here locally in Canton. His name is Dick Majori.
Yes, know him well.
And Dick and I have been friends for years. I even worked for Dick for some time. And he challenged me one day. We were driving around in the car, and he says, "What problem do you solve? Tell me in one short sentence." I said, "Fix sales problems." He says, "Then own it."
Wow.
And that was, I don't know how many years ago. So when I started my blog, NoSmokeandMirrors.com, I decided I wanted to own fix sales problems. So I created a content map, which with your background, you understand, the social media and the impact of a content map. And everything I do, my content, is about fixing sales problems. So if you were to Google fix sales problems today, you'd find about 20 million entries And little Mark Roberts in Canton, Ohio is #1 in the world.
Isn't that amazing?
I didn't spend any money on it other than my blog. But what it did require was content.
Mm-hmm.
I had a meeting with an attorney friend of mine this morning, and he said, really, social media is a crock pot, not a microwave. I says, that is a really good analogy because I've been blogging since, I believe, 2004, and now I'm getting the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness, that's so true. And you do build, but it's relational. That's what is so awesome about the whole field of communications right now, is do you really have relationships with people? You can get to know your customers in a way that we didn't used to be able to do that way back. You know, the traveling salesman, that kind of... It still is necessary for face-to-face, but you can have face-to-face with FaceTime now. You can have face-to-face with live streaming on Facebook now.
GoToMeeting. One company I helped, they sold software training. And what we found was in the sales process to book the event, a lot of times people had pause about the price. So what we did was we introduced a GoToMeeting in the sales process early on with the instructor. And our close rate jumped from 20% to 60% with that simple adjustment.
Incredible. All right. Well, what we love about your book, Branding Backwards, first of all, that it is free.
Yes.
And second of all, that you really use biblical principles. And you say, this is all found in the Bible. Just look there. Talk about that.
The best business book ever written is the Bible. Trust me. To my wife's chagrin, I have 40 banker's boxes of books in my basement on every type of business book known to man. But it never ceases to amaze me that if you know where to look in the Bible, you'll find an answer, particularly for business problems. Jesus, for example, taught us, how big should your team be? 12.
That's perfect.
I mean, how many more people could you manage? And then when you start getting more, then what you do is you let them have 12 and then them have 12. The Bible talks about profit. The Bible talks about leadership. The Bible gives you advice even in sales. There's not a problem your business isn't going through that the Bible doesn't talk about.
Did you learn this early on, or did this come later in life?
I actually, my faith connection started as an adult later in life. When I was going to Kent State University, my parents thought maybe I was majoring in martial arts as opposed to an education, and that led me down a path of studying Buddhism. And it was interesting. It gave me a really good information, but it didn't give me what I was looking for. So I connected with faith through a program called Alpha at a local church here in Canton. To make faith resonate with me, the table leader knew I was in business. So she would go out of her way to talk about the passage that we just learned and how it could be applied in business. And ever since then, I've been doing it that way.
Wow, that's so interesting. And now you're able to share that with others. Let's talk about branding backwards.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Well, unfortunately, what both of my books on my website were designed for was to help people. A lot of times people will come to me with a problem. And one of the common problems is they didn't give a lot of time and energy into branding or positioning of their business. They launch because they're really good at a particular technical thing. They launch because they have an amazing service, but then they let the market decide who they are. With branding backwards, you decide who you are, and you lead with intention. A business coach might call it planting your flag in the market. What is it that you do exceptionally well, and makes you distinctive in your market? The burden is on you to tell the market that. So in the book, Branding Backwards, I never wrote a book before. If you would have told my first grade teacher that I'd be writing a book, she'd be cringing right now. But what I did was I studied how to write a book. And what I found was most people don't read a book, because they look at it as a commitment, a time commitment. If you read a business book, on average, people will get a third to halfway through it. So what I did was I wrote my book very short. You can read it in less than an hour. But I also found that when books are written in the form of a story, people remember them. If they're written in bullet points, they're interesting, and what people will do is skip chapters and look for things that they're particularly interested in.
You're right.
but they may miss the whole story. So I wrote the book in the form of a story.
Oh, tell us the story.
Okay.
What of it can you share with us this morning? And I know that people are still going to want to get it and read it. But what can you share this morning?
What I wanted to do was I created a character. The character's name was Denarb. And at the end of the book, you'll find out why.
Okay.
And this person goes through life trying to figure out how they're going to serve others. And others sure seem to understand their role in the community. And this character of mine tries to be what everybody else has been or other services that other people try, but for whatever reason, it never seems to connect. And then I take you through a story, and I take you through a journey, because that's really what it is when you create your brand. It's a journey. Most of the time needs to be spent on the upfront, what I call the market work. Understanding your market, the problems your market has, and how you can solve them completely.
Do you have some advice for folks who might be getting a business or a service going that they're having difficulty in deciding exactly what about themselves makes them different? They may just be really good at something, but so are a lot of people. That what would be their hook? What's the thing that they can really brand themselves as? What sorts of questions should you ask yourself? Or what kinds of ways do you get around to defining who you are that sets you apart from others?
The first thing I ask someone when they come to me needing help is, what problem do you solve? If you can't explain the problem that you solve, I really almost beg you not to put a lot of money into your business yet. Once you understand the problem that you solve, who has that problem? Talk to me about the market. Is it a problem of one where it's just you? A lot of times entrepreneurs come to me and they say, I've solved this problem. It's brilliant. Okay, but you were the only one with that problem.
Nobody else had that problem.
So tell me about the size of the market and how many people like you have that problem. Then tell me, is the problem urgent? Is it something that is worthy of being fixed, or is it something people can live with? And the most important question at the end, the same 4 questions every time I meet with anybody, is, are people willing to pay to solve that problem?
Very good. All right, well, let's talk about this. Well, in our closing couple of minutes to this first half here, for a businessman, for a salesperson, you seem to give a lot away for free. And that last question said, are people willing to pay to solve this problem? What makes you so generous with this really good knowledge you've got?
Well, I tell people I'm on the back 9. If you're a golfer, the front 9 was all about me. And I'm embarrassed sometimes to admit it, but the reality is, when you're young and you're full of all that energy, it's all about you and making a name for yourself, hitting the next mountaintop, hitting the next goal. Now that I've approached the back 9, it's all about helping other people. Wow. And one of the things, if you're wanting to connect with people online, is about building trust. So I give a lot of information away free, and my method is 2 things. One, I believe in service first. I've been very blessed through my career where I serve people, and then I'm compensated. But also I want to build trust early on in our relationship. When my family and I lived in Arizona, for example, I wrote an article about how launching a business is like wiring a house with the power on. You're going to get zapped. You just don't know when. That story brought me I don't know how many clients because they felt it. They knew I knew. So I want to help people. Not everybody can afford help. So the other reason my content is free is if my help can get you steered in the right direction to bless your family, bless your workers, bless your community, because when your business grows, you hire more people. Those people spend more money in the community. I tell people that what I do isn't a business as much as it's my ministry. Yeah. We're speaking with Mark Roberts from Out of the Box Solutions. He's founder of Out of the Box. We're going to find out much more about all of this after these words. You're listening to Our Community.